You mentioned Elon Musk. He recently bought Twitter, and he actually called it a crime scene. And over the last few weeks, he's released hundreds of internal documents showing that the FBI and politicians and bureaucrats were able to get Twitter to boost certain voices or to censor other voices.
Yep.
And they were really directing and commanding Twitter to do so. That's riveting for Americans, but I wonder if that was happening in Canada. I don't know why it wouldn't. It was the same company. They react to politicians and cops the same way. Are you worried that governments, the federal government, maybe even previous provincial governments, maybe even your predecessors, were directing Twitter, Facebook, YouTube to muffle critics and boost propagandists? Do you think that happened in Canada?
I wonder if it would ever rise to a level where Musk would allow for a journalist to go in and look at that. Because I've been watching, I think it's Matt Taibbi and Barry Weiss and Michael Schellenberger. So I've been reading the threads as they've come out as well. And it's shocking. I've already heard that in the US, they're going to be, I believe they're going to be doing a congressional hearing in January to find out what exactly went down there. Because the idea that you would have law enforcement stepping in to suppress certain voices on the pretext that they're stopping misinformation, when in fact, it's really just to try to tip the scale in favor of one particular political view. I sincerely hope that hasn't happened in Canada, but those big tech companies have had an undue influence on determining what gets printed in our mainstream media coverage. I think Twitter probably is the worst, but I suspect that we're seeing the same thing with Facebook as well. So I'm watching it with interest. I haven't seen anything yet that suggests that the same thing has happened here, but we should be asking the same questions, since it was quite clear that there was an extraordinary amount of intervention by the FBI in coverage on Twitter and what was allowed to be printed.
It's one thing for the company to make censorship decisions. I don't like it, but I can understand their statement. This is a private company, you start your own Twitter. But when a government agency, when a health agency like Dr. Fauci, when the FBI get involved, and especially when they pressure the private company, then it feels like government action. I want to ask you, and I don't want to put you on the spot, but you made me think of it. We can only wait for Twitter to release things about Canada, but you as Premier have access to what the Alberta government did in the past. Would you consider, and I don't want to put you on the spot now, but you could release the Alberta government side if there's anything. I don't know if during the lockdowns, for example, public health officials were ordering Twitter to silence certain voices and boost others. It might be something that you would shine a light of scrutiny on the same way Elon Musk is doing it to his own company.
It's a good point. I'd be interested in knowing if there was any of that going on. You know what the sense that I got of it is that everyone was doing what everyone else was doing. And I thought that YouTube and Sundar Pichai made it very clear when he was in congressional hearings in the US, he said he wasn't going to allow anything to go on YouTube that contradicted Anthony Fauci. And that seemed to set the tone for what mainstream media covered. And it seemed to have had an overlap effect in Canada. So it may be just that everybody was following the lead of these tech giants. But if there's something more there, we should know the answer to that. I'll make a note to look into it. I haven't had anyone brief me on that to
well, I don't think they would. I think they'd probably want to hide it as they hid it from Elon Musk.
That's an excerpt from my show every night. It's called The Ezra Levant Show. That's me, Ezra Levant. You can see the whole thing behind our paywall. Well, there's a lot of goodies behind there. I do a show every weeknight. My friends Sheila Gunn Reid and David Menzies and Nat and Kat have their shows too. You get a ton of content for just $8 a month. There's so much in there you won't find anywhere else. Go to rebelnewsplus.com.